that I guess is on my favourites for cold process soap making is this book. It's just called Soap, Making It, Enjoying It, and it's by Anne Bramson. And to be honest, looking back at this book, it really doesn't have a huge amount of information in it. But the reason it's on my top 5 is it was pretty much the only soap making book out there when I started soap making way back in the 1990s. And when I look at it now, it really is incredibly basic, but I loved this book. I mean, I honestly just loved it. There's no real pictures. The pictures in here are really simple. They're just hand drawings. There's no beautiful illustrations of soaps like you can get in some of them. But I read every inch of this book so many times when I first started. Really simple soap recipes. There's not a ton of stuff in here, but it's still got to be on one of my favourites because it's where it all started for me. And at the back, there's some little bits and pieces about history and advertising. So it's not just about soap making as a hobby. It kind of looks at history and it's just fun. I really loved this book. So that was one. The next 2 books are both by actually, you can see that I do read these books. Still got some post-it notes in the middle. These 2 books are both by a lady called Susan Miller-Cavich. And this is the first one, the Natural Soap Book. This really takes you through vegetable soap making and quite a lot of things about herbs and botanicals too. There's all of your basics about different oils and general information. There's also in this book a really nice interview with it. Oh, here it is actually. Yeah. And there's a couple of them as you go through some soap maker stories, which is quite nice, kind of looking back on people who make soap and how they started and a little bit about their story. I found that quite interesting as well. There's some good information about fragrances or essential oils and how they work together. And you can see that the drawings are very, very simple. Again, they're just line drawings. You haven't got really beautiful pictures of the soaps, but the information in these is still really valuable and I think you will enjoy these. This is certainly a great book for a beginner soap maker. There's some nice recipes in here, and this is always useful. It's a kind of diagnosis or troublemaking tips, both for what's happening in the pan and for your finished soaps. So you might like that too. This book is almost like the beginner's book, and then it moves on to the Soap Maker's Companion. And this really goes into more detail. So as you start going through this book, they've changed the colour of the images and there's lots of different recipes in here. I mean, a wealth of recipes compared to the first one. It does touch on some other soap making styles as well, which you might like. It's still got things like the troublemaking in there. And it's kind of a progression from the first book. But to be honest, if I were to buy one of these 2 books, I'd definitely be buying this one, because everything that's in the first one is pretty much covered sufficiently in this one too. So I would say that you would only need this one rather than both of them. But a lovely book, lots of information. There's some great things about the science, as well as colorants and all sorts of other things that I think you might really enjoy. So let's move on to one of my favourites. And it's one that I think you're going to really enjoy. This is called The Soap Maker's Workshop. It's by Dr. Robert and Catherine McDaniel. And this actually comes with a DVD included, which you might enjoy too. But it has, for the first time, some really nice pictures, colour pictures. Now there's a wealth of information in here, right from the beginnings of actually making your own lye, which you wouldn't be doing, but at least you understand the principle behind it, which is quite interesting. And then it goes all of the way through several different styles of soap making, including some more decorative effects, colorants, and then how to customize. I mean, it really does have all sorts of different things in here. There's even a little bit about some glycerin soap making. And then it moves on to your cold processes, which is what we're really talking about here. And a huge part of the book is focused on cold process soap making. And what's nice about this is, as you go further towards the back, you are going to find really pretty pictures that go with each of the recipes. So there's a recipe here for everybody, especially when you're a beginner, and a nice kind of photograph about how the soap turned out. Now these are very simply styled, and I know that you can really change these out in a lot of different ways, but it's a nice book and I think it's perfect for you when you're starting out. There's also an essential oils guide, lots and lots of information. Plus, of course, you've got that DVD. And my final book in my 5 soap making recommendations is this book by Alicia Grosso. It's the Everything Soap Making book. This is the 2nd edition, and it really takes you through just a ton of things. But sadly, again, there really aren't pictures, but this is filled with a wealth of information for you. So good few nights reading in here. You've got lots of recipes as well, a whole load of information about your essential oils and perfumery, colours, everything that you would want in a book like this. So I think you'd enjoy this book too. I certainly did. There is some information about transparent soaps, lots and lots of information, single oil soaps, lots of different things. So those are my 5 soap making book recommendations, and I'm sure that you will find exactly what you want out of one of those books. I'll see you soon. Bye.